Welcome to our podcast, Hiking in Heels, with life coach Teresa Coltrane and full-time mum and writer Jessica Heedy Gandolfi. Hiking through life can sometimes feel like we are literally hiking in our heels.
As women in today's modern world, the pressure to tick all the social boxes is at its peak. Being perfect, being strong, having it all together, the list goes on. Inspired by our own journeys and life struggles, we have come together, and we are on a mission to empower other women to overcome their fears and tap into their greatness.
With special guests and our own personal stories, our aim is to bring light and healing to inspire you to take your life to the next level. As Coco Chanel once said, keep your head, heels, and standards high.
We invite you to kick off your heels, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to our fourth episode today of Hiking in Heels podcast. And we're so thrilled that you've joined us and taken some time out of your really busy and hectic days. And we truly hope that you are actually benefiting from some of the guests' topics and conversations that we've been discussing over the past couple of weeks. So today we are beyond excited to share our very special guest, Erin Toppenberg. Erin is one of the most inspiring, gracious, and empowering women that both Teresa and myself have had the pleasure to meet. Erin's mission is to connect more and more in the heart, and she believes that love is the answer. We just love that. Erin is a certified HeartMath trainer, as well as being involved in many charities and organizations where the one common goal and purpose is elevating the consciousness and compassion of the world. Erin is the mum of two beautiful daughters, which fuels her passion to work on behalf of the empowerment of women and children worldwide. Sitting on many boards, she is a very active member of the Waterbearers Charity, serving as a co-founder and director. Erin was instrumental in structuring the key partnership with Waves for Water campaign to bring clean water to millions of people globally. This has now turned into a women-led, women-empowered, focused nonprofit providing clean water around the world. Additionally, with all her philanthropic work, Erin is a universal Kabbalist and as such is forever seeking a deeper wisdom, a deeper understanding, and a deeper meaning. So we're so excited to welcome Erin to the show this morning. We're thrilled that you have made time in your ridiculously hectic schedule to chat with us and to share some of the incredible things that you are doing in the world right now.
I'm really, really excited to be with you and very grateful. So thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So Erin, one of the questions I have been dying to ask you, because I saw you about almost a year ago at a women's retreat, and you did a special presentation on something called the HeartMath, and it was just so cool. And I remember taking some things that you said, and I keep sharing it with everyone that I know. And I was just curious, can you tell us a little bit about the HeartMath, and tell us what led you to doing it, and just anything you would want to share that would be helpful for our listeners.
Sure. So I grew up, I think as many of us, always seeking and trying to figure out, why am I here? What is this thing called life? I remember from an early age, like asking my mother for the book Dianetics. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but I think she was like, you were like 7 and you were asking for that book. But it just kind of always was with me. And I remember finding Rumi, the poet, the mystic Rumi. And for me, he seemed like somebody who really understood life and love, and he wrote all about it. And he really wrote about the heart being the portal. So many of his quotes just really touched me. Like, from the heart is the only way that you can touch the sky, and you have to break your heart open, keep breaking it until it opens. So there was something about the heart for me that really was like, that's gotta be the portal, or some kind of answer has to lie within the heart. Because I also learned pretty early on that the heart is the first organ that forms, and there's something so magical about what is it that starts beating it? What is that? So I've been a little obsessed with the heart and questions of the universe. And then I think I was at Agape Spiritual Center. I don't know if you're familiar with Agape.
Yes.
Yeah, Agape is a spiritual center here in Los Angeles, started by Michael Bernard Beckwith. A lot of people know of him because he was in The Secret. But they offer services and classes. And I was in a class, again, trying to figure out answers. I think it was maybe a class on healing beyond Western medicine. And somebody brought up HeartMath, and immediately it just triggered me. Okay, wait, what is this heart? What is this? And I just went on my own research then about what was HeartMath. And HeartMath is really a research institute founded by a gentleman named Doc Childre, who, kind of like all of us and like me, knew that there was something more to just the sayings of follow the heart. And he really wanted to find a way to quantify for people that there was an intelligence there. So he hired the best researchers and just started studying the heart, and that led to so many, understandings and breakthroughs that then created tips and techniques for people to really add more heart into their life. So I, signed up immediately for the first training that I could. And yeah, it's been a wonderful addition into my awareness of how we as energetic beings kind of relate and work in this mystery of life.
So is it almost like a therapy, like a treatment that people come, like you would go for a yoga session or a massage therapy session or a Reiki session? Is this a similar type of technique, or is something different to that?
It's a little bit different. It's more of kind of a training that you can give somebody on the understandings of the electromagnetics of the heart, and really how, when you understand predominantly the heart rate and the heart rate variability, like what is that sort of pattern that evolves, and understanding how emotions play into heart rhythm and how that beyond affects everybody, because the heart can be measured, they say safely, like up to 6 feet outside of you. So if you think about it, we're all kind of moving around in each other's heart energy. And if you're experiencing an emotion of fear or anger, that produces a different signal that's being beamed out into the universe, as opposed to somebody who is in gratitude and in love and in joy. There's different things that will happen internally and then externally. And what HeartMath really helps you to understand, with just, again, it's kind of like the training, and then they give you like different tips and different ways to bring it into your life, how we're really broadcasting, we're like antennas for the world.
Yeah.
And the science of it for people, like really understanding, take the woo-woo out of it, but scientifically, if you're experiencing this emotion, there's 1,400 different biochemical things that are happening inside your body. And on the converse side, if you're experiencing this emotion, there's 1,400 different things that are changing.
So something to say, I know we can't show the audience because they're listening, but I remember from your presentation, the scientists have measured the heart waves, right? And so when you're in a very stressful or angry state, your heart waves that you said that are kind of being pumped out into the universe are kind of jagged and just kind of wiry. So there's that actual evidence to show, and then your body kind of takes on that same energy with your, onto your cells and everything else, versus when you said, in your place of gratitude and love, the heart, what it's showing on those graphs is the heart is kind of flowing in these like nice waves. And then that's what's also being portrayed to your own cells within your body.
Exactly. I mean, think about if you have a pen and a piece of paper, and you just take it and you're going herky jerky up and down, up and down, up and down. That's what's going on inside of you, versus like a nice sine wave if you're just going up and going down. And immediately you can just even feel the difference in that, and understanding that we as human beings, we're energetic. We need energy, we need rest, we need food, we need all of those things. We're no different than like a cell phone. You have to plug it in, you have to recharge it. So in the simplistic terms, like, we need energy. And if you're depleting energy all the time by being in fear and being upset about things, it's just draining you as like a battery. And the other is true as well. You can renew yourself, literally renew your body and grow capacity for yourself and for others, by really being aware of your emotions and being able to shift them. And one of the first things that HeartMath really understood was how simple it is. And their very first technique then is simply heart-focused breathing. And we can actually try that right now together.
Yes, let's do it.
And if you're listening and you're, driving, you can even do it. It's one of these things that you can do it with your eyes closed to kind of get a sense of it, but it's meant to be that you can do it anywhere, anytime. It's a matter of just simply focusing your attention on the area around your heart. So I just invite everybody, wherever you are, eyes open or eyes closed, just bring your awareness and your attention to the area in your chest around your heart. And then just simply imagine that the breath is coming in through the heart, breathing in a little deeper, a little slower, and then exhaling from your heart. Breathing in through your heart, and breathing out from your heart. One last time all together, breathing in through the heart, and breathing out right from your heart. And it's really as simple as that.
Oh,
We're
that makes
creating.
That was so amazing.
Yeah.
You feel this expansion.
Yeah.
There's just this warm expansion just in the whole chest area. That's incredible.
And it just gives you like a choice point then, like a pause almost before you're going to speak or your next action. Because when you're in fear, when you're in rage, literally the signal, because the heart is actually the one who's in charge. We were taught, or at least I was, that the brain is, sends the signals to everywhere in the body. And so you kind of think, oh, well, the heart just follows it. And that's not true. What they found is actually there's a whole brain inside the heart, and the heart sends far more information to the brain. The heart is the command center. So when you're in fear and the heart rhythm is that herky-jerky line beating out, the signal to the brain, it's only getting up to that part of the brain that's in fight or flight. So you're literally not thinking with all of your capacity of your frontal lobe, where creativity is and all of the decision-making regulation. So that's why when you're upset, you do things that later you're like, what the heck was I thinking? Because you're not.
You're not thinking, right? No.
You're in the amygdala part of the brain. So when you can slow down the rhythm of the heart, you actually have access then to greater solutions and choices. And so again, it's very simplistic, but it's very, very powerful how fast you can actually shift. And it's about focusing your attention on your heart, because it's no different than if I said, focus your attention on your, pinky or whatever it is. There'd be more energy that starts going there. And so when you focus your attention on your heart and you just slow down your breath and allow it to go in and out, it really just gives you a moment. And that's the very first practice of HeartMath, is that heart-focused breathing.
I love it. And this ties in so well with what we were actually talking about last week. We were talking about, women having like these mini meltdowns because we get too overwhelmed in life because we're going too fast. We're trying to do too much. And, we're in our heads a lot about a lot of different things. And that's, when we can get all worked up and emotional. And like you said, as soon as we do that, it takes away our capability of just being able to think clearly and be calm and make rational decisions and kind of move through life gracefully, right? Instead, we're going too fast, we're emotional, we're getting upset, and we feel stressed, and everything is really hard. But, like you said, if you take that time, daily to connect with yourself, to connect with your heart, and to just slow down and to just breathe, it allows you, like you said, to have the choice to choose how you want to show up, to choose how you want to react. I always talk about this with my clients too, is breathing is such a wonderful way to kind of control like your mind and your actions and to just really reboot yourself. Like you say, like we are like cell phones, we have to get recharged. None of us work well when we're on 10% battery. And so if we want to move through life easily and, be doers and creators and do all these things we're meant to do, we can absolutely do it all. And we don't have to do it in a stressful state. We don't have to force things.
But I think just even doing that exercise just then, Erin, focusing on your heart is different. It's a different feeling to just breathing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Just then felt when you stop and like we did a couple of breathing exercises before we spoke with you, because I was having a bit of a thing this morning with on the phone and just craziness. And so, okay, let's just stop and breathe. But it's a different feeling to when you're actually focusing through breathing through your heart. I feel just through doing that experience, then it's a very different feeling. And I think it's bringing perhaps just being more conscious and more aware of the situation, bringing that consciousness in so that you can reflect it out. Because we hear all the time, what you give out, you get back. What you perceive people to be is how you perceive them to be. And it all just comes from the awareness, I think, of what you're putting in or giving out.
In a lot of yogic traditions, they talk about the breath, the mind follows the breath. And so when you think about it in those terms, the mind is where we're dual, right? There's two sides, and that's where we're fighting with each other and fighting internally. I shouldn't do that. I did this. But when you drop down into the heart space, that's really where we're all universal. And there is an intelligence there that I believe, that's the creator, the great architect of the universe. That's that magical intelligence resides there. And that's where we find our commonality. So if you're just breathing through the heart, you're literally bringing that energy of the mind down into oneness. And you're able to act then and speak through a place of really seeing each other as one.
So since you've done your training with this, how have you been able to implement it into your life, and what benefits or changes have you experienced through having done the training yourself with the HeartMath?
Well, I think it just gave me another piece to really understanding that the heart is this valuable kind of, it's your best friend. But in practical terms, me being a mother and one of the first ways that I was able to introduce it practically to my family was watching my daughter have a meltdown over homework and start getting really upset about it, and being able to show her like, okay, you're never going to find the answers when you're like this. You have to, shift. And there's actually a device that you can get through HeartMath where you just hook it up to your ear, and it can click into your iPhone, and you can see, you just start breathing and it shows you your heart rhythm patterns. So you can actually see in real time when you're in incoherence or when you're in coherence and your whole body is working, and which means that you're able to access answers in your mind. So practically speaking, that was probably one of the biggest things, is just with my kids, helping them understand, forget all the, we're all one and unity consciousness. Like for somebody to really realize that they have the power to shift the emotional state that they're in by their breath. And the feedback of the HeartMath, breathing sensor, is one way practically for people to really do that.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool.
Absolutely. And I'm sure many of our listeners can relate to that, not just necessarily with children, but just in day-to-day experiences with work colleagues, with friends, with family members, with all of the people that we're connecting with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And
I just think it's so cool too, because it's just showing you like this is just how we're designed as human beings. So we really can start to learn how to heal ourselves or manage our own selves, right? Like I think we're so used to like reaching out for some sort of pill or tool or something, but this is just within us. It's our own breath, it's our own heart, and just really tapping into like the essence of being a human. Like this is who we are. It's how we're designed. So I just think that that's really cool to be able to do that.
And one other thing to just really highlight about HeartMath and the research that they did is that they had people hooked up to sensors, and they would ask them to just recall a time that they were upset and the heart rhythm would change, or recall a time when you were happy and joyful and the heart rhythm would change. So it's not necessarily about that emotion, like right in the then. It's that you have the power to actually recall emotions and bring them in. And so, like the second part of the heart, the very first tool of the heart focused breathing is that you can bring in and start breathing in a different frequency of gratitude is usually probably the easiest for all of us to find something that we're grateful for. And so as a practice, you can in the morning start off with heart focused breathing and just breathing in gratitude for whatever it is, something so minor that you opened your eyes, that you have a nice bed, that you have clean water, that you have your children, that you have a job to go to, whatever it is, that you can start your day with 5 minutes of breathing in that attitude, and you're renewing yourself and you're setting yourself up then to be less reactive during the day.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. Gratitude is such a wonderful practice. And, like you said, it just shifts you into that energy of being calm and more open and being grateful for your life. I think oftentimes when we do get too busy, we're like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. But really, all of it's like a privilege. Like it's so lucky when you stop and think like how blessed you are to have a car to drive, to go take you to do something, or like you said, like clean water. All of those things are a blessing, and I think they get overlooked when we get too fast and like when we get too busy. And to have that gratitude practice with the breathing, like yes, it just totally resets you and kind of gets you right in that right mindset to just be able to give and receive and just flow.
And even just changing the words, just to change one word changes the whole way that we look at certain situations. So instead of saying, oh, I have to take the kids to school this morning, I have to run errands and do this and this, I have to go to work. If we were to change that to I get to, I get to take my kids to school this morning, what a blessing is that? I get to spend an extra 15 minutes with my children in the car on their own, quality time with them, even if it is driving with the traffic and whatever. Just changing one word in a sentence, I get to, instead of I have to, just brings that gratitude in immediately, I think, in a whole different way. We are so blessed, and we forget how blessed we are. But speaking about the clean water, I think is a perfect segue into one of these incredible, you are just involved in so many charities. You clearly, love and thrive on giving back and serving people. But tell us more about the Waterbearers then, because, it sounds phenomenal. Obviously, it's something close and dear to your heart. So share that with us.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I have been blessed to be able to travel. And I think when you travel, you really understand how privileged we are, being raised in America. Seeing people firsthand that didn't have clean water really brought it home for me. I'll never forget, I was doing a workshop for some children, teaching them yoga and different things in Nicaragua. And the kids showed up with like utensils and a cup because they had heard that we were going to have water there and possibly food. And they were just lined up with their cups. And from that moment, it was like, okay, I need to do something about this. And so me and two other gals who live in Ecuador, who are friends of mine, we just decided, what can we do to bring more awareness to this issue of clean water? Because 770 million people live without access to clean water. And here in America, we take it for granted. We go to the tap and we turn on water, or we buy bottled water, sometimes multiple times throughout the day. And a lot of people, it's a real reality that they have to walk miles and get water and carry it back. And the water is not even safe to drink. It's contaminated, but yet it's their only source. So me and these two other gals, we just said, how about we start a 30-day campaign where we just invite women who have access to clean water to get it to those that don't. And we'll invite 100 women to start a team and fundraise. And Waterbearers was born out of that desire. So the Waterbearers is about women, water, and wisdom. And we wanted to raise the consciousness for water, even for us Western girls, just really, realizing if everybody is just thankful for their water and says thank you before they drink it, that changes things. Yeah. But also then being able to get these filtration systems to women and children that need them. So that's how it started. And we ran the 30-day campaign, and we thought that was wonderful. We raised all this money, and we had a trip at the end of the 30 days into the Amazon and into the Andes Mountains and delivered these systems. And we thought, way to go. That was a ton of work. Maybe we'll do it again, and maybe we won't, because we ended on World Water Day, March 22nd. But what happened then is about 2 weeks later in Ecuador, they had an earthquake, and our phones just started ringing with desperate pleas for help with the clean water. So that really propelled us, and it's been 3 years now. And this morning I was on a call with somebody from Nepal, and the monsoon season's already hitting there. So I found myself in a disaster relief role and more of a champion for clean water than I ever imagined. But that's really how it started. So really the earthquake that happened in Ecuador just propelled us then to continue with this. And it's been an organic flow of just listening to the heart, listening to where we're being called, and acting. So the 30-day campaign has now turned into a full-blown 501c3 that I'm the director of. And we just keep having people find us and keep finding ways to travel and invite more women into it. So we have travel team leaders now that go and do projects for us.
Wow.
We're doing a trip into Nepal in October with 7 women. So it's really about empowering women in all ways,
right,
to take action on something as so simple as clean water and the basic human need and right that should be.
I love that. I know I was inspired. I think it was around November, kind of right before maybe Thanksgiving, and a lot of charities will say, donate to something. So I remember seeing something you had posted on Instagram for the Waterbearers, and I was curious, and I clicked on it and I started to read, and I sat there, and I drink so much water throughout the day, and water is my main source that I drink. And I can't imagine not having clean water when I first wake up, or, anytime throughout the day. And to really think, like you said, that people are really without water, and sometimes days without water. And, I remember thinking oh, I need to do something. And then I remember it was really easy to do the process to donate. So I donate once a month. I just have an auto thing set up and an account set up where I just donate the $20 per month, and I forget how much water that gives to people, but I'm at least I can feel like I can contribute on that level. And I think too, the trips are amazing. It's definitely on my list to manifest to be able to go on one of those trips to deliver water. I think it would be so cool.
Yeah, so the system is actually, it's very simplistic but very powerful. The cost of a filter is $50. And when you think about that in terms of going to the movies or something, you can spend $50 pretty easily. But $50 has the capacity to serve a village of 100.
Wow.
It will provide 1 million gallons of water for somebody. So it's a very sustainable solution. And they can go then to, whether they're catching rain or they're walking to a river or a stream and getting their water or getting it from a well, they can collect that water, and then the filter will take out 99.99% of anything that will get them sick. So cholera, typhoid, all of those things, salmonella, it will take that out, and then they have clean water. And to see, I mean, the thing that always strikes me when we go and do these distributions is we show them how to put the kit together and the filter together. And we filter the first glass of water and we hold it up compared to their source. And usually it's, a brown glass of water with a clear glass of water. And we always drink it first just so that they, trust that it's good. And then it never fails. I pass it to somebody, and you would think that they would take the whole glass and just drink it down because they haven't had water like that. But no, they take a sip and they pass it, and they take a sip and they pass it, and they just pass it around. And that just never gets old, and it never ceases to amaze me how other people live, because I guess I think through my Americanized eyes, and I think, like the desperation, like somebody would maybe just take that and drink it all for themselves. But in these other places, it really is about like community and sharing. So that I would love for everybody to experience that alone, being able to give somebody clean water, but seeing how they share it.
Yeah. Just so heartwarming and just so incredible, like you say, to see how much respect they have for each other and also for you and what you're providing for them.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. I love the whole, I just love it. I'm always so excited about all that you do, because it's just amazing and it's just so inspiring. And that's kind of our goal with this podcast, is to connect with wonderful women like you and to kind of just be able to share this information to other women and to kind of lift them up and inspire them, and just really create a community where we're all supporting each other and coming up with really great ideas to help support the world, really. So
exactly.
So this is wonderful. Thank you for sharing all your wisdom and knowledge with us. Do you want to ask the final question?
Yeah, sure. So obviously you're a mom. We mentioned that already. You have 2 daughters. How old are they?
I have a daughter who's 13, and she is in public school, middle school, and loves it. And I have a daughter who's 10, who, after going on a water trip with me when she was 2 years ago, so she was 8, she looked at me and said, I can't go back to public school anymore. I don't think school is for me. So she is now on a different track, and she's life schooled. So 13 and 10, but very, very different in their personalities and life experiences now.
But how incredible that as her mum, you've given her the opportunity to experience something in a whole new light, and for her to realize at such a young age that the traditional route is not for her, and for you to be able to support and empower her as a mum to follow her passion and to support her in that, and say, you know what, if that's not right for you, let's find what will work. And let's make this the journey that you want to be on, even if she is only 10. I think that's in itself is really incredible, because I think a lot of people say, well, that's great, honey, but you need to go to school, and this is the way that we do it. This is what society says. So off you go. That's lovely to know that you think that, but this is the route that you should take, rather than doing what you've done and allowing her to support her dreams.
Yeah, well, it's been liberating actually for all of us, because you're right. Society says you go from 2nd grade to 3rd grade, and then to middle school and high school, and you have to get into a good college, and you have to get this good degree. And that's not necessarily true, or that's not necessarily the recipe for a fulfilled and happy life, is to just be shuffled along. And it's through her, really, that we've opened up a whole new way of being. We know it's a journey. We say this, we have to remind ourselves, but she's really been my master teacher. And life is a journey about uncovering who you are and your heart's blueprint. And if the fertile soil is not necessarily going to to the regular third grade, then let's figure out the path that will help you. Because we all do. We're loaded and coded and ready and here on different missions. And yet we all try and fall into this same like pattern.
Yeah.
And we're here to learn and relearn different lessons. At the heart of it, I believe it's always about, love and how we can share that. So
I love that. Can you tell us, I'm always curious about this too, about, you said, so she's in life school. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
yeah. So when she said she couldn't go back to school, and it really was after she had gone on a water trip with me, and she went back, and her teacher, her first day back, wouldn't let her go to recess because she needed to do a math assessment. And she was like, but I was just in the Amazon with the Ashmore tribe, like giving them clean water. Like, why am I being penalized? Why do I have to stay in? So that's when she's like, I can't do it anymore. So I said, okay, we're going to have to figure it out. Like, I don't think I'm cut out to be like a homeschool mom and give you worksheets every day. And I don't think that's what she was necessarily like going towards. So we just decided to kind of make it up as we go. And instead of like being homeschooled, we just call it life school. And we just allow the opportunities of life to really inform her learning and her passions. And so she has traveled a lot more with me doing the clean water programs. And she's also, finding her way of what interests her, and human rights, understanding why somebody wouldn't have clean water, led her to studying the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And then that led to her wanting to know more about the civil rights movement. And so she started, diving in there, and we'd watch Selma together as, at like our life school day, kind of thing. And actually she just she wrote a letter to Congressman John Lewis, who is very prominent with Martin Luther King in the civil rights movement. Because she had studied him, she reached out to him and asked if she could interview him. And we just heard back that he would love to sit down with her. So August, we're going to fly to Atlanta, and that's life school. That's what it looks like.
That is amazing. And there's so much to be said, I think, for learning outside of the classroom. For some kids, they will learn through life experience, through life, because there are so many. It doesn't have to be cut and dried inside the classroom, verbatim. It just doesn't have to be. And for some children, that's just not going to work, and they will learn so much more because it sparks their interest. Exactly. That's such an amazing example of that. And wow, that's fantastic. Congratulations. She must be so excited.
I'm excited for her, just that she's learning. It's really about following your own heart.
Exactly.
I mean, truly, it's back to when I was a little kid and wandering around. Like, I wish I
had circle, right? Oh my God. That's fantastic.
So cool.
But how do you balance all of this? I mean, with all of the charities that you're involved in, all of the work that you're involved in, being a full-time mom and also now a life school mom, and being a wife and everything else, how do you manage your time so that you don't get overwhelmed, so that you still have time for you, to connect with you, and to keep yourself grounded?
Well, I have a daily practice of meditation and things that are kind of non-negotiable. So I try to set up my day so that I'm coming from a place of overflow. Right. But it's going to sound cheesy, but it's true. I listen to my heart. I tap into my heart in terms of where my energy is best spent, whether it's in an hourly, time frame, or really looking at my week or my days, and I go with that. And so some days I spend more time on the charity, and sometimes I have to shelve it for a week or two and be really present with my girls and just doing the day-to-day mom things that need to get taken care of. So I check in with myself, and I don't allow what I should be doing to override what I'm kind of called and inspired to be doing.
I love that. I think that's so such an important thing to like learn and to do, because I think a lot of times why people sometimes feel stuck in life or unhappy is because they're lost in everything that they should do. Like it's, oh, I should do this, and oh, I have to do it in this way. Or when really, like you said, like your heart's kind of saying, well, actually, you know, you need a little more rest today, or actually you need more time with your family today. And just really like learning to honor, like you said, like tap into your heart and see where your energy will be best spent for the day, and learning to actually honor that space. That's something I'm really, really trying to work on. I'm definitely one of those people that wakes up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do all these things. And if I don't do them, then I won't be here. And then like a lot of times, you know, something will be saying, no, you know, you need a little more rest. And so I kind of struggle with, okay, do I rest and things will just get done when they get done? Or do I just force myself through it and not rest and like keep pushing myself? But I know where that ends up, right? That ends up to the meltdown, like we were talking about. So again, it's like coming back to that heart-centered place, like we were talking about at the beginning, is just, you know, tapping into that, you know, tapping into yourself and learning how to honor that voice and giving yourself the time and space to even hear it, right? A lot of us don't even create that space, you know, just to connect with, you know, yourself and like what it is that you need for the day.
Because it's like listening to your intuition, your inner guide, your inner wisdom, your higher self, whichever you want to call it, but it's all coming from that place of the heart and what feels right for you. That's where you should go. That's what's going to flow, and that's what's going to give you the best result at the end of the day, rather than forcing something which is going to give you the meltdown or the anxiety and the stress levels that we're trying to avoid in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah. So I know, ladies, if you're listening, listen to all of this, you know, tap into who you are and don't be afraid to listen to that voice, because oftentimes it's really what you need. Like, you know, we're searching for an answer for something, but really we kind of have all of that within us. So if you give yourself the time and space to just get quiet and connect with your heart, and just really learn to honor what it's telling you, you know, things will align for you. So if there's anything we're kind of trying to share is, you know, tap into that heart, listen to your heart.
So for any of our listeners that are really interested in finding more about the HeartMath, we're going to put the links up on our episode show notes, of course. And if there's a way they want to help with the Waterbearers Charity or any of the other charities that you're also involved in, then we can add all of those links on there. But I mean, do you have any advice for anybody if they were listening and they think, gosh, yeah, that sounds amazing, how can I even begin with that? What would you kind of say to them?
Well, there's so much online actually about HeartMath. And so I would encourage anybody just to dig into the website, or there's plenty of videos where you can kind of see for yourself the science of it, because I think we tend to be, once we see it scientifically, then that gives us more.
Well, there's no doubt to you. It's there.
Proof,
it's
right?
the proof.
The logical mind loves the proof.
Exactly. And those two videos you sent us to look at were phenomenal. The YouTube ones, we'll post those actually as well on the page, because they just, that's it. It's there, black and white. It's in there. It's logged. There's nothing you can say that it's not real. It doesn't exist.
Yeah. So once they look around for that, then I think it will give them almost permission to stop and slow down, focus on their heart, and really begin to start trusting that inner voice, because that is where intuition resides. And there's plenty of research and different things that they've studied now with intuition and the heart. So I think it just gives somebody maybe some breadcrumbs to go and look around and learn a little bit. But of course, they can always take a training and do a deep dive more into HeartMath.
Yeah. And quick side note, as we're talking about intuition, I can't quite remember. I think it was the HeartMath, and I think this was in your presentation that I saw a year ago. But along with the studies that they were doing, weren't they doing a study where they were showing people certain images that were happy or sad?
Yeah.
And didn't they kind of discover that the heart already switched its like vibration or its state of being before the person could actually see the next picture? So it's really stating that your heart picks up on something before your mind and eyes can actually see it. Is that right?
Yes, you are absolutely right. And again, it's that bubble of energy that we're all moving around in, that heart energy that's beating out. So of course you can feel when something's a little bit off, but a lot of times we don't honor that voice.
Yeah.
We haven't learned to trust that voice, or to follow that voice of, you know, go here, there's more joy in this path as opposed to this one that you should be on.
Yes.
Yep. Oh. Yep. And learning to just trust that when you follow it, everything's going to be okay, even though you can't see what's going to happen. Just if it's in your heart and it feels authentic to you, then that's your sign to just trust it.
take the first step. And what about any listeners that may be curious or even have a little something in the back of their mind where they have an idea for a charity, something they're passionate about? What advice would you give them for setting out on finding their path with setting up a charity? With you, it was, just let's start this fund, let's raise some money and just see what happens. And it just rolled from there. But would there be any other bits of advice you might give to women that are listening that think, oh yeah, I really am so passionate about this, but I don't even know where or how to begin?
Well, I would say start small because starting a charity is a lot more work than I ever anticipated. But there's so many ways that people can get involved and give back in our community locally or abroad. But when you give is when you receive. I mean, that is the truth of it. I feel like I learned that secret early on from my grandparents and from my parents. And it's one that I've tried to teach my girls. It's not in what you have, it's what you give. And that's the secret of life. So whatever that is that lights you up, whether you're an artist and you want to do art therapy for somebody, or you enjoy traveling, you can perhaps take some of the water filters with you when you go and still do your travels. But there's so many ways to give back, and it really does allow you so much more wealth of just beingness when you give.
Yeah. So ladies, if you have an idea, just go for it. Just take the leap and just do whatever you can.
Amazing.
I love it.
So inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And this is so wonderful.
Thank you. This is fun. I appreciate the hiking with heels and interviewing women, and also about giving back.
Yeah, fantastic. So thank you so much for joining us. We will post all of your information, all about your charities, all about the HeartMath on our website and our show notes, and people can reach out if they have any questions, and hopefully it's enough to give them a boost and inspiration to follow their heart and their passion and to lead from a place of love. Yes. And don't forget, you can actually follow Erin under, I think your Instagram is the Waterbearers, right? And we'll put the information in the show notes so you guys can find her and follow her. And she posts little updates and information about what they're up to, which is really cool. And then you can also follow us on Instagram at Hiking in Heels. It's HEALS. Also, our website is hikinginheels.com. And then also don't forget to join the Facebook group tribe. So we're creating a community and tribe on Facebook, and it's called the Hiking in Heels Tribe. So we would love for you to join in on any conversations or submit any ideas for the show or any guests that you think would be amazing to have on the show. So thank you so much for listening and tuning in. Thank you.
Thank you.